right, everybody, if we could cut the chat down, and I'll call the meeting to order because, let's see, before we get into our agenda, I'll just let everybody know that pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 30, Section 30A, Section 20, I'm informing all attendees that a video and audio recording is being made of this meeting, so everyone's been informed, and with that, we will begin our agenda for tonight. Our first order of business are the open session minutes from January 20th. Is there a motion for approval?
Mr. Chair, I move that we accept the minutes from January 20th.
I'll second that.
I have a second, and unless there's any further discussion, I will call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Next order of business, we have a public hearing, and this is a hearing on a request from General Electric Company, Eversource Energy, and Verizon New England to install two jointly owned poles on Woodland Road to decrease wire spans between poles and bring power to a new commercial customer. So, is this something you wanted to speak to at all?
I'm sorry, I'm here for questions, or, I mean,
if you
right now it's gonna read, so.
Yeah. So if there's anything you want to add at this point, I'll give you the floor.
Yeah,
but
I mean, it's basically just.
You just come to the mic, please. Sorry. Yeah. Oops. Thank you.
Yes, so I'm Ryan Anderson, and I'm an Eversource representative.
Thank you.
So basically, the whole reason for us installing these two new poles is to make clearance for trucks to get in and out of this new commercial customer area.
Understood. So we have a map here. Do you guys have either of you have any questions? And these are new poles to go in between two existing poles.
Correct.
Yeah, I'll open it up to the board if they have any questions for you.
Okay.
Bob?
If I may, Mr.
Sure.
Chair, yeah. So I'm presuming that the new commercial customer is GE in the Upland disposal facility, because I'm not aware of any other new commercial.
Correct.
So, and to be clear, if it goes the way other utilities such as water lines and that sort of thing, it doesn't really matter what this board says, that those poles are going to go in one way or the other.
Well, it does matter what the board says.
Well, I would disagree with you. I'm saying if we
Okay.
vote this, if we're voting this down, the poles are going to go in anyway. Whether we vote for it or against it, the poles are going to go in anyway. That's my point.
The EPA will step in.
The EPA will
oh,
step
okay.
This is above your
Okay,
head.
all right.
Yeah.
Way more than, don't even think about talking about it.
Yeah. No, this is for the public, so they understand.
Yes, they understand.
So that
Yeah.
they
This is
understand, right.
And we don't want to beat you up over it.
No,
Nah.
This is the entity that the
Right.
service is
sure.
Yep.
being created for.
I don't want to interrupt Bob.
Yeah, I don't either. Is that you have anything
That's,
else?
I just wanted to make it clear
Okay,
for folks
yep.
that.
So I know
Yep.
years ago, I was in a different town talking to some people, and I heard their select board talking long ago. And I think in the Mass General laws, under setting of electricals, poles and whatnot, there's also a provision for the town to require them to be underground. And I'd almost like to I didn't get a chance, I was gonna look it up, and I didn't get a chance. I doubt you're gonna put these in tomorrow or next week, I would assume. I don't know how big a rush it is,
Yep.
but I'd almost want to continue this, because I want to look into that, because with the amount of woods and property up there,
Yep.
while it costs a lot more, you got GE as a client, they got more friggin' money than most anybody in the world. So I would think they would easily.
Says there are 11 participants, but I don't see anybody.
We're still on mute. Oh, shoot. That's all right.
So anyway, So what I'd like to do is just look at that. Like, do we have an opportunity so that you guys aren't having to be up there with cutting trees and cutting branches back and all that? And if we can just go in the ground, if this is going to happen.
So, we already have existing poles out there.
No, and I realize that it might be a good time to get them away from the trees and the branches so that we don't have to keep cutting everything down on all our streets in town. And I know that there's other issues in hand with maintenance and the cost of it, but I'm just thinking I'd like to look into that and see if that's something that we could require or not, because at least it would, in the future, allow the trees to remain and the branches to remain on that side of Woodland Road.
Yep.
And, go from there. I'd just like to see if that's a possibility.
Okay.
And, I don't know. I know at least we could ask that if we're being forced and our hand is forced anyway. Maybe at least if EPA hears this, maybe they'll actually think about the environment for a change and actually want it underground, to save future tree loss. So, anyway, that would be, I would make a motion to that effect just to continue it to our next meeting so we could investigate it to see if that's a possibility. And perhaps at that time, you could come back if for some reason, there's some unknown reason why either maybe we'll find out we can't ask that.
Okay.
Or we may find out that, for some other reason from NSTAR that they could say they can't do it. But I'd like to at least investigate that
Okay.
to see if we could do it in that way and have it be less visible and maintain the very rural area on Woodland Road
Okay.
without more things in our sky.
Fair enough.
So,
That's a good point. It is a scenic road.
absolutely.
Has that designation, actually.
Yep, yep.
So,
I just know there might be a problem on our end just because of going overhead to underground, just
And
overhead again.
well, it could be a good chance to get some of the poles out of there and put it all underground. I don't know. Again, this is a conversation, at least if you could go back and
Oh, yeah.
say, this is the conversation we had, and we'd like you to look into it so we could, see if that's a possibility. And then in our next meeting, you come back and say yes, no, whatever, but I'd like a chance to look at that.
Okay. Fair
Alright.
enough.
So, with that, for
Are you making
purposes of discussion, I would make a motion to continue this public hearing until our next meeting, which would be, what's today?
February 17th.
Sure, February 17th at 7 PM, to see if we could get some feedback from NSTAR and also do our own research on whether or not it would be feasible to get these lines down underground and away from all the trees and branches.
Okay.
All right?
Yep. Sounds good.
Thank you.
Have a
Well, I
motion?
only made it, we didn't pass it yet.
Have a motion.
Don't run away. Don't run away.
Have a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
I will second that.
So, procedurally, this is a public hearing,
Yes.
but if we're going to continue it, I want to give everybody a chance to
Yeah,
speak here
exactly.
anyway. We're going
I
to
have a
continue
motion
it.
second. You can continue discussion if you want, and
Yeah.
then vote.
I'll give the people that
Discussion
can.
should be on the table.
Yeah,
absolutely.
exactly. So, if there's no further discussion between the board on this, I'll open it up to the
Thank you.
public. Anybody that's come tonight wants to speak to this, now is your opportunity. And I'll give it a minute for those on Zoom to throw a hand up if they're interested. I don't see anybody coming coming front. So, with that, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. We'll revisit this in 2 weeks, and we'll see if there's, if it makes sense to go underground with these lines. Thank you for joining us.
Sure. Thank you very much. Appreciate
Thank you,
it.
guys.
Yeah.
All right, our next order of business is public comment. This is a moment for anybody who would like to, on Zoom or in person, comment on a specific agenda item or something going on in town. I see a hand on Zoom, so you can unmute yourself and introduce yourself.
Hello there, this is Kathy Hall. I just wanted two things. Number one, when we started the meeting, you had technical difficulty, nobody could hear what was going on, but we finally got connected at 7:05, so we're grateful for that. And secondly, I wanted to give a shout out and a huge thank you to our town administrator, Chris Britton, and his right-hand person, let's see, her name.
Sabrina.
Sabrina, yes, Tui, for this wonderful neighborly news. It was fantastic, and what a wonderful idea and a wonderful addition to our town for people to have an opportunity to see what's going on if they don't have, access to cable or whatever it is for our.
Sabrina gets all the credit for that one. She did a great job.
Well, I think, but since you're, the big shot, I'll give you a shout out too, because you said, go ahead, Sabrina, do this for the town. And it's just fabulous, and thank you so much. And looking forward for more good stuff like this, and certainly for the town report that will be given out when it's time to go to town meeting. So again, just a shout out to everybody that was involved in neighborly news. It was fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kathy.
Anyone else? All right,
We have a Courtney.
got one more? All right. Please just unmute yourself and go ahead. Introduce yourself for everyone.
Good evening, Select Board. My name is Courtney Gilardi. I'm here in Pittsfield, Massachusetts. I want to thank you so much for allowing me to speak tonight. And I also want to thank each and every one of you for learning about the smart meter issue. Before myself and my neighbors were harmed by wireless radiation, no pun intended, but this was not even on my radar. And now it's an issue that I have been dealing with our legislators and in litigation, unfortunately, for the last 6 years. My daughter Amelia and I have testified on Senate Bill 2306 and H3351, which are no-fee smart meter opt-outs for the last 3 legislative sessions. So our legislators are well aware that there is a segment of the population that, like myself, are electrosensitive. And this pulsed wireless microwave radiation makes us really sick. Everything from headaches, dizziness, nausea, insomnia, heart palpitations. And we've been medically diagnosed from our doctors with electromagnetic sensitivity and have been told that the only solution is to avoid wireless radiation. So I understand that when you have an Eversource representative come in and say, well, pulsed wireless microwave radiation is everywhere, it's not in my house. I'm zooming in from a hardwired Ethernet supported laptop. I have a landline here in my home. I don't have Bluetooth, Alexa, or anything that is Wi-Fi enabled. Everything is hardwired. And it's taken a while to get my house to a place where it is a home and a sanctuary. So when Eversource comes and writes a letter and puts it all in our mailboxes and says, we're now going to put a smart meter on your home, and it's okay, because the American Cancer Society says it's safe, well, we've reached out to the American Cancer Society and said, please show us the science. And they say, well, the FDA has the science. And we reached out to the FDA, and the FDA says, well, we don't have the science. We asked the FCC for the science. So there actually is no science to show that this is safe for humans or pets. And if you speak to physicians, they'll tell you if you have metal implants in your body, if you've had cancer or chemotherapy, or if you're electrosensitive, to stay away from wireless radiation. And so we have been asking our legislature to please not disadvantage people who can't pay the $40 a month. $40 a month opt-out fee. Every single, just to be healthy in their own homes. We work very hard to be healthy in our homes and to create a sanctuary where we cannot experience these symptoms. Now, some people can move their bedroom to the opposite side of where the smart meter is on their house, but not everybody is that fortunate. And people in apartments with a smart meter bank are being exposed to a lot of radiation. Now, this RF radiation is a carcinogen in the same category as lead and DDT. And if we had lead or DDT in a house, we wouldn't allow children, it would have to be remediated. So we're asking you guys as leaders in this to please ask for a moratorium on these smart meters till everyone in the town can learn more. Ask Tri-Town Health, who is well aware of the wireless harms issue, to host a forum or a seminar. Invite other towns, because Lenox, Pittsfield, we're all getting letters too. And really get educated on this. People should be able to opt in instead of having to opt out, and it should be at no cost, because this is something we're doing to protect our own health and safety, and the health and safety of our seniors, our vulnerable, and our children. So I want to thank you again for learning about these issues. I know you'll learn more with Cece Doucette, but if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. There are plenty of doctors and physicians who are willing to come and give a presentation and help to educate on this issue. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Anybody else for public comment at the
Will you
moment?
be able to speak after?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, on the issue. She kind of jumped in.
Which is fine,
Yeah, yeah,
because we're going to get there pretty quick, I think.
Yeah. yeah.
So if there's no further public comment, I will jump into a general business. And our first order of general business is we have a certificate of adoption to approve. And this is a hazard mitigation plan certificate that I know that committee's been working on for a couple of years now, right, Chris?
Yeah, we received a grant almost 2 years ago, which to do a hazard mitigation and climate adaptation plan. We had a ad hoc committee. The plan was wrapped up 2 or 3 months ago, actually maybe more than that, with the committee, and then it's been to MEMA and FEMA for approvals, and this is the final step.
Should I read this?
Why not? Let people know what's going on.
Yeah. This is going to sound kind of like a declaration, but the Town of Lee Certificate of Adoption, February 3rd, 2026. A resolution adopting...
Excuse me. She was wondering if you could talk louder.
Yeah, I'm trying. A resolution adopting the Town of Lee Hazard Mitigation and Climate Adaptation Plan. Whereas the Town of Lee Select Board recognizes the threat that natural hazards pose to people and property within the Town of Lee, and whereas the Town of Lee has prepared a multi-hazard mitigation plan hereby known as the Town of Lee Hazard Mitigation and Climate Adaptation Plan in 2025, in accordance with federal laws, including the Robert T. Stafford Disaster Relief and Emergency Assistance Act as amended, the National Flood Insurance Act of 1968 as amended, and the National Dam Safety Program Act as mentioned, and whereas the Town of Lee Hazard Mitigation and Climate Adaptation Plan identifies mitigation goals and actions to reduce or eliminate long-term risk to people and property in the Town of Lee from the impacts of future hazard and disasters, and whereas adoption of the Town of Lee Hazard Mitigation and Climate Adaptation Plan demonstrates the town's commitment to hazard mitigation and to achieving the goals outlined in the plan, now therefore be it resolved by the Town of Lee Select Board that Section 1, in accordance with the procedures set forth by the Town of Lee Select Board under Mass General Law, the Town of Lee Select Board adopts the Town of Lee Hazard Mitigation and Climate Adaptation Plan, while revisions to plan content may be required to meet approval requirements. Any changes made after adoption will not require the Town of Lee to re-adopt the plan. Plan updates following the expiration of this approval period will require separate adoption resolutions. And with that, given under my hand and seal, the Town of Lee on this, the 3rd day of February 2026. So I would entertain a motion to approve and allow the chair to sign, or to accept the certificate.
Mr. Chair, I move that we vote to have the chair sign the certificate of adoption for the hazard mitigation and climate adaptation plan.
I will second that.
I have a motion and a second. If there's no further discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Next order of business is, this is where we're going to follow up on the Eversource smart meters. Thank you for, I believe it was Courtney? For
Yes.
Cece, yeah, for her comments previous. And is Cecilia, are you going to, you have something to share, Cecilia? I was told.
I do. Thank you so much for
Sure.
inviting me in tonight. My name is Cece Doucette, and I'm the Director of Massachusetts for Safe Technology. And I've been hearing from ratepayers all over the state who are getting these letters from Eversource and National Grid and Unitil and others. If I can, I will go ahead and do a screen share with you. If we can turn that on for me.
Trying.
Yeah.
Okay.
Should be good now.
Okay. Okay, can you give me a nod if you can see that?
Yeah, we can see it.
Okay, and I have sent my slides over for you as well.
Thank you.
To look at tomorrow. So I'll go through a set of 10 slides with you and explain the science behind why this is a serious risk that we might want to reconsider, and talk about some safer solutions to access wonderful technology, but without the radiation factor. So I have the privilege of earning a Master's of Technical and Professional Writing from Northeastern University and an undergraduate degree in communication. And I never imagined this is where I'd be using my skill set, but I'm honored to share the facts and the science on this issue. So I helped my schools become the first in the nation to start taking precautionary measures with today's wireless technology. And I worked with Senate President Karen Spilka to introduce a bill a dozen years ago, 10 years ago maybe. And I helped New Hampshire to pass the first law in the country to investigate, and they issued a groundbreaking report confirming everything that I'll be sharing with you tonight. I also co-founded a Safer Screen Time organization where we have online training that your entire community could be trained on in about an hour. And I also co-founded Massachusetts for Safe Technology, and at our website you can drill down even further into the science and the additional facts. I was honored to be brought down to the National Institutes of Health to co-chair the technology panel for the Health and Buildings Roundtable Conference, where we have the privilege of teaching architects, hospitals, doctors, planners, all sorts of wonderful professions, what this man-made radio frequency radiation is doing and how to mitigate. And then I was also honored to speak on state and local policy at the EMF Medical Conference. And EMF stands for electromagnetic fields, and the ones we're discussing tonight are electromagnetic fields of radio frequency, microwave radiation. So if any of you have an iPhone, I would invite you to take it out right now to kind of frame up what this overarching issue is, and then we're going to talk about smart meters in particular. So if you can take out an iPhone and go into settings, I'm going to show you where the legal fine print is that has warned us against man-made radio frequency radiation. So from settings, you simply scroll down and hit General, and then go all the way down to the bottom and hit Legal and Regulatory. So it's Settings, General, Legal and Regulatory on an iPhone. On the next screen, about 4 down, you'll see RF exposure, which is radio frequency radiation that they politely call energy because it's a man-made energy form, but it's actually microwave radiation, two-way pulsations to make our devices operate. And in the bottom of that first big paragraph, they say we tested this device at a distance from the body. So if you're holding a radiating device the way they've given it to us, you are being exposed to microwave radiation that is exceeding the Federal Communications Commission's public radiation exposure guidelines. What they don't tell you is that for all the different services they've given us, the cellular data, Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, locator, hotspot, 5G, each one is a separate antenna that pulses microwave radiation to make or maintain that handshake with an air cell tower or router. And so tonight's message is not no technology, because we live by it, but it's important to understand what the risks are and the choices we have for mitigation. And then another paragraph or two down, they say to reduce your exposure, basically once you know you're radiating yourself, don't touch it. Use a hands-free option. And very few of us have ever read that legal fine print that has existed all along. So I helped my public library become the first in the United States to put a radio frequency radiation detection meter on loan. And I know that we're time constrained tonight, so I won't give you a live demonstration, but they do have these radio frequency meters, I believe, in the Lenox Library, maybe the Pittsfield Library. This would be a good device for Lee to also have on hand, because it's really hard to get our heads around invisible toxins. So please know, for everything we've broken here, we know how to fix this. So what is wireless radiation, and why should we even care? When we talk about these electromagnetic fields, we know from Schumann's resonance that the Earth pulsates this beautiful healing energy that synchronizes all living creatures to this lovely electron field that comes out of the Earth. That Schumann's resonance pulsates at 7.83 times a second, or 7.83 hertz. When we got into digital technology, we started making man-made pulsations in the megahertz range. That's 1 million times per second. We are getting hit with microwaves. In the gigahertz range that industry is leading us into now, we are getting hit with microwaves 1 billion times per second. And our bodies just simply are not built for that, nor are the pollinators, the birds, the bees, the trees. And out in Pittsfield, where Courtney's from, there was a gentleman there who had been farming on his own land for years, growing his own food. And the first year that that Verizon cell tower was turned on, there were almost no pollinators. By the second summer, there were no pollinators, and he had to hand pollinate. Now, those are the little tiniest creatures, right? When we talk about humans, we too are getting overpowered. So this is a wonderful book by Dr. Martin Blank from Columbia University, one of the world's leading scientists on this, and his son just published Empowered, so that we can know what to do to stay connected and protected. So what does the science tell us? And again, everything that I'm giving you, you can go look at the individual peer-reviewed published scientific literature. There was a study that came out, partially funded by the World Health Organization in 2025, that confirmed high certainty that this man-made radiation is a carcinogen. It causes cancer. It also damages DNA, which is the roadmap to grow proper anything. Infertility, they've taken male human sperm and exposed it to, say, a laptop with the antennas radiating, and it changed the DNA. It slowed the motility of the sperm, and it caused far fewer sperm to be viable in just 4 hours of exposure. When I read those studies, that's when I got on my feet and said, whoa, I've got 2 daughters, and now the fertility studies show higher miscarriage rates for women who are exposed to man-made radio frequency. It's also a neurotoxin. Dr. Hugh Taylor, who runs OBGYN at Yale Medical, has done the rodent studies and showed that when you radiate these mice, pups are born and they start bouncing off the walls of the cage, much like a child exhibiting attention deficit or hyperactivity disorder. Dr. Martha Herbert founded the Autism Lab at Mass General, and she sees huge connections with what she sees in her families and her care and what we know happens with exposure to this microwave radiation. Alzheimer's is now coming on at earlier and earlier ages, And the environmental working group, some of you may know their pesticide fact sheets, the Clean 15 and the Dirty Dozen. They've come out with some really good fact sheets on this too. So our children are not just little adults. They are still under construction, their central nervous system, their immune system, and their skulls are thinner and they have a higher water content. So inch per inch, they are absorbing more of this radiation than you and I. So on an adult, these heads are turned sideways and the yellow dot is the ear. When we put an active cell phone up to our brain, that microwave radiation is penetrating about a third of the way through. On a 10-year-old child, it's going about 3/4 of the way through, and on a 3 or a 5-year-old child, it's microwaving almost that whole brain. So this is not child's play. It never should have been brought to market. It was never properly safety tested. But a lot of people will recognize short-term effects, and at the EMF medical conference, they said when these smart meters go in, we see an uptick in people coming in with symptoms of electromagnetic radiation syndrome. And we should also know that the Americans with Disabilities Act for 2 decades has recognized electromagnetic illnesses, but industry owns mainstream media, so we have not been given that information as good studies come out. These are the symptoms that many people, either from their phones, their wireless systems, their smart meters, cell towers nearby. Children and teenagers, sleep is what they always used to do best, and far too many children and adults today struggle with sleep issues, stabbing, searing headaches, migraines, nosebleeds, ear bleeds, fatigue, pain, skin flushing, heating, rashes, heartbeats that go too fast or too slow, cognitive impairment, anger and behavior issues. And even before the pandemic, we had an epidemic of anxiety and depression in this country, with more and more children coming into the fold on that. Every year, Courtney Gilardi and I, for the last 4 years, have hosted World Electromagnetic Radiation Syndrome Day. Folks in France started this, and we do it all over the world in June to bring awareness. So if you want to hear from people like Courtney who have been injured by this, you're more than welcome to look at that link. So aside from the health effects, other reasons why these smart meters are actually not smart for our communities is that they pulse this radiation continuously. So if you have a pregnant woman, a child, an elderly person, or anybody with an existing health condition near these smart meters, it may very well tip them over into becoming electromagnetically sensitive. The radio frequency has the capability to hop on the wires of the house. Metal amplifies man-made radiation, and that can literally turn your house into a giant radiating antenna. There are far too many reports of fires and explosions and improper grounding. It's not like electricians are coming to your house to put these in. These are people with very limited training in most communities, and we have far too many reports of the fires, and your fire chief and his team or her team cannot come down and just put that out. When there's an electrical fire, they have to contact the utility company that then has to shut down the power from their end before you can put water on that, or you're going to electrocute your firefighters. So these are not a good idea for our community. Your data is being buckshot out into the air that can be captured. People may know when you're away from your house because of your usage patterns, and they can back up their truck and take your toys. It's also a giant environmental justice issue. Eversource, or National Grid, rolled out their smart grid pilot program out in Worcester with no informed consent. Industries often go into underprivileged communities where people are working 2 or 3 jobs and they don't have time to pay attention to initiatives like this. And then they roll it out and go, hey, look how great it worked here in Massachusetts, now New York, now Rhode Island. You should be jumping on the bandwagon too, when it is very much an environmental justice issue, a toxin, and a significant public health risk. Jeremy Johnson is a Silicon Valley engineer. He and his medical doctor wife both became terribly ill when a bank of smart meters went in on their condo. Dr. Alexia McKnight is a radiologist, And both of them, all of them, became extremely brain injured when these smart meters went in on their homes. So I invite you to watch their TED Talks. And my big question when I fell down the rabbit hole was, if this is as bad as I can see just by reading the science, why don't we know? So I fell down the rabbit hole in 2012, and in 2015, Harvard's Law School Center for Ethics came out with this 59-page report that's free and online called Captured Agency, How the FCC is Dominated by the Industries it Presumably Regulates. And note that they chose a revolving door for their cover photo. And that's what many of our federal agencies have become today, is a revolving door with industry. So we have documented conflicts of interest with the Food and Drug Administration, and sadly it goes all the way up to the World Health Organization with industry capture. And they have reopened their investigation. Back in 2011, they determined that this man-made radio frequency was a Group 2B possible human carcinogen. And now we know it is a carcinogen because the animal studies have been done. But there are two groups at the WHO who look into electromagnetic radiation. One of them is an industry organization, and it looks like they've gotten a hold of this investigation as well, but it's all there for you to look at. So what can we do? Vermont, since 2012, has had a smart meter, no fee opt-out. And that's what we're proposing here in Massachusetts as well. We have 6 bills filed for various subjects on the radio frequency radiation issue. Your own Senator Paul Mark used to be a lineman. He knows, before he went to law school, he knows the biological harm from this radio frequency radiation, and he introduced 2 of the bills that we have right now. This one was introduced by his colleague, Senator Mike Moore out of Worcester. And I want to read to you the emergency preamble, whereas the deferred operation of this act would tend to defeat its purpose, which is to maintain public health. Therefore, it is hereby declared to be an emergency law necessary for the immediate preservation of the public health. But we tend to move like molasses here in Massachusetts. I helped New Hampshire pass the first law to investigate in just 7 months' time, and they came out with a groundbreaking report documenting all of the harm. There's a sister bill that is still alive right now with Rep. Estela Reyes that does the same thing as Senator Moore's bill, and we would ask that you take a look at that bill and consider sending in a letter of support. It's going to be reported out in March. And then we have some action alerts that can help you and your citizens show our legislators that we need to take this very seriously. So at the municipal level, please know that the President's executive order up in DC has the Make America Healthy Again Commission strategy, and on page 7 you will see that for the first time our federal government is taking this seriously, and they have said that they are going to address radio frequency radiation. But that's going to take time, and industry is trying to force these toxic meters into your homes right now. So you could choose to do nothing and wait, but there is no cavalry coming. This needs to be solved at the local level, and you would be jeopardizing the public safety of every child, adult, and creature in your environment. So you may do well to put a moratorium on any further build out of any wireless infrastructure, including these utility smart meters. I understand that they started the national rollout more than a decade ago when Governor Patrick was in office here, and it came down from the feds that they wanted to roll out this smart grid. Well, they only looked at it from the economic standpoint and the energy consumption standpoint. They did not look at these other risks, and they must be taken into account at the local level. So Jim over at Tri-Town Health was wonderful to bring us in to do a smart or a cell tower educational forum for, I think it was an hour and a half a few years back. We would be more than honored to do a real public education forum with you on the smart meters in particular. And it's not the technology that we need to be concerned with. It's fine to upgrade the infrastructure, but do it in a way that does not bring risk of human and environmental injury. Down in Chattanooga, Tennessee, they have already begun to hardwire these meters to the home. And then you just run cables like Ethernet cables into the system in the house, and you capture the data that way. Industry is typically prone to taking the path of least resistance and highest profitability, so they need to be held to account to re-engineer their systems so that we are able to take advantage of all the benefits of the system without introducing harm. So I do a free public education webinar every month, and this month we are focusing on smart meters. And I'm so honored to have my colleague Ken Gartner join us. He graduated from MIT as an engineer, and he had a lovely career in engineering. And then when a smart meter went into their dream house, he and his sweetheart got very, very sick, and now she is pretty much a shut-in because the radio frequency radiation from that smart meter sent her over the edge. And so Ken went back to school and he became a certified building biologist, and now he helps people understand, measure, and mitigate what is happening in their lived environment. So we invite you to join us to continue learning and to continue the conversation. But these are actions that you could consider taking now. So I would be happy to stop my screen share and answer any questions you have. And on my final slide, these are links that you are more than welcome to reach out, even with silly little questions, because we know if tonight is your first night learning about this, it can be like drinking water out of a fire hose. But we're here for you, and we would like to answer any questions you have right now.
Thank you. Yeah, that's definitely a lot of information. You either, Bob, Gordon, do you guys have any questions you'd like to ask at this point?
Not specifically.
But
I
I think it's, well, go ahead.
No,
I want to just I want to kind of make sure everybody's expectations are sort of tempered here as far as my understanding, what we can do. And, this board, we don't have the authority to regulate the electrical grid. To my knowledge, you talk about one aspect being a moratorium on these meters. I'm just not sure that that's something that we would have the authority to do. It seems I'm totally outmatched to even talk about this issue. I read some of the information that we were provided earlier from this, but I mean, I don't, this is a completely new field for me. It's my understanding there's somebody from Eversource here who on Zoom, and they might be able to speak to this. I'd like to kind of give them a chance to not give the other side of the story sort of thing, but give, because it's my understanding that, this is coming down from the legislatures. We're not, I feel as though, and I don't have any issue advocating for the legislature to reduce or eliminate fees for opting out of these. I'm all for that. I just don't know about some of the other things. But is there somebody from Eversource here with us? Jason, I see. There he is. Can you just go ahead and give us is there anything you want to speak to about this at this point?
So there's a couple of things I can give you at a future time if you'd like me to do a similar presentation on smart metering. We certainly can, but just to kind of address just a couple of things here. So we are in the process of upgrading. Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, so we are in the process of upgrading our electric meters across the state of Massachusetts. And here in Massachusetts, all of our customers are currently on something called AMR, which is automated metering. So the meters on everybody's homes now do use radio frequency to communicate with drive-by vehicles. So we're not in a territory that's purely analog at this point in time. Customers that are looking to opt out have this ability now. They didn't have that ability with AMR. So anybody that is looking to opt out and get a meter that isn't communicating, sending any type of frequency, they can, but there are fees associated with that program.
Thank you.
At this time,
Yeah, at this time. You,
At this time.
yeah, if there's other people in the, you please come forward if you have a question or another comment you'd like to make. Just remind everybody, keep it brief and to the point.
I have a question for you about the meters. When I called to opt out, they said, oh, we're going to take your meter away and give you a new one, but we're not going to hook it up. That seems a little sketchy to me. I don't understand what that means. How do I know it's not hooked up? Can you tell me that part?
I sure can. So the meter you have now is transmitting with radio frequency to our meter reading vans that drive by once a month. The customers that want to opt out, they don't want any radio frequency at all. So we're taking, probably have a meter that looks something like this, or maybe something like this, just depending upon how old your meter is. The new meter that we're installing, we can turn the radio off on it, and when we do that on the display, it'll give you the reading, and then it'll say RAD off, which stands for radio. And so you can see it on there that the radio is off.
Okay, another question. You're telling me a van comes around once a month? I've never seen an Eversource van. I see the gas company come once a month. I've never seen. Did anybody here ever see an Eversource van come around? No. Never.
I can tell you this, I have never seen anybody walk up and read my meter.
Right, no, but I've never seen a van, so I thought we're connected directly to Eversource because I have never seen a van and nobody in this room has ever seen.
Well,
anybody from Eversource
I
drive.
was about to say, I've seen plenty of Eversource vehicles
Right,
driving around.
that's the way the gas company comes, you can see them going down.
I'm also not typically home at daytime hours like that, so I'm a bad representation.
No one has ever noticed a
representation.
van or anybody coming around like the gas company that is definitely has a little red light on it, they go to every home, they go really quickly. I've never seen Eversource come and read anything.
That's how we read the meters now. So we drive by once a month, they collect the readings.
We do the same with water meters at this point, right? Don't we?
Correct,
We
yeah.
have,
Yes.
we
You're
have wireless.
charging us, this is what I don't get. You decided that Lee's $34. National Grid's doing Lennox, they're $27. Rhode Island is $13, Vermont is nothing. Where do you get these numbers from? Why do you think that I can afford to pay $34 a month on top of my inflated rates that you're going to give me, which I'll talk about in a minute?
Yeah, so the rates were set with the Department of Public Utilities. I personally don't know where those specific numbers came from, but it was in unison with the Department of Public Utilities that helped us set those rates.
Okay. Also, Central Hudson, New York has no fee either. So, okay, I guess we can fight that. That's something that we can work on. Thank you.
So do either of you have an issue with this? Oh, there's another hand.
No, I was just I see.
I just wanted to kind of, if Cecilia, if you
Yeah.
have something you wanted to.
So if I could just add to what our friend from Eversource said, the drive-by was not a bad option. In my neighborhood, I think it's for gas or water, they radio in and they tell their company, okay, we're going into this neighborhood. They would then activate the radio frequency and then they would drive by each house and point a scanner. And that scanner would take the reading and then we would get our bill. And then when they finished the neighborhood, they would call up and say, okay, we're done. And then you wouldn't be radiated the rest of the month. These new meters are pulsating 24/7. We have one of the meters for our electrical here in Ashland that is not a smart meter yet, but it is one of the digital meters. And I sat and I measured when we were testifying for the DPU. I measured how many times that pulsated, and I did the math. And it was 17,000 times a day that pulsated microwave radiation into my home. So that's the gravity of what we're looking at here if we don't get the opt-out. But even better, we need to work with our friends at Eversource and National Grid and the others to build technology that is not unsafe. Right? Because you and I, what I taught you about your cell phone, you can choose to put that in airplane mode tonight, make sure your Bluetooth and your Wi-Fi are off, and create a sleep sanctuary so your body can cell repair at night. When we have these man-made frequencies pulsating 24/7, that's when we get into jeopardy of hitting that tipping point where our bodies can no longer recover. And then you become disabled.
Gotcha.
So it's critically important that we work with the industry to come up with solutions, because we can't turn those smart meters off. We can turn off our personal devices, but we cannot turn those smart meters off.
Thank you. Did you both get?
No, go ahead.
Did you both get a chance to? I want to just discuss this letter. If this was something that we wanted to, because I do think it's reasonable to request an opt-out that isn't, costing you $30 additional in your electric bill a month. That seems excessive. So.
And you're going to do it for gas and water too.
So is this something that?
Are you letting everybody know that we have a proposed letter to go in to support the legislation?
I guess that's what I'm doing right now.
Good job. Well, I wasn't sure when we were going to get to that, because I have some comments about the issues also.
Well, yeah. Do you want to do that first
I
before
think
we
it's
get to the
interesting that
letter?
Eversource actually has somebody here. If you've, I will be right up front and say I've never been a DPU fan, so you have to understand that. To me, the Department of Public Utilities at the state level is all about ensuring these monopolies make a profit. It is not about protecting the people of the Commonwealth or making sure that it's economical for the people in the Commonwealth. It's about making sure monopolies make a huge profit to give to their investors. So that's my upfront statement. That's where I come from. So I was interested to read this smart meter resident concern that we got, a letter. And when it started talking about, well, it's going to cost Eversource $34 to have somebody drive and get this. Okay, so if that's the case and I'm not doing it anymore, where's my $34 a month kickback from Eversource? Because they're not having to send somebody to read my meter. Because all you're going to do is charge me more for some reason anyway. So if you're going to charge these folks $34 to send somebody specifically, I want to know where my money's. And I don't expect an answer tonight, obviously, but it's like the DPW or the DPU in Boston is not our friend as a citizen of the Commonwealth. So I would highly support letters to the legislature, number one, to reduce this to nothing on any kind of opt-out, or give me my $34 a month for not coming to my house if I choose not to opt out. Yeah, I get a little riled up about things like this when I feel like monopolies are shoving things down on us that may not be safe and have not been looked into properly. So I think I'm going to leave my comments for tonight at that until I do a little more research. But I am supportive of at least a minimum of this letter that you're about to discuss, and I'll turn it back to you.
Yeah, Bob,
Mr. Chair.
anything you want to?
I started researching this, starting with a list that we were given by Cindy, and I went to those sites. I went to the American Cancer Society. I read their material. I read a lot of different opinions, pros and cons, and I confess I'm probably more confused than when I started.
Yeah.
And that's just the truth. But my friend, I have a friend, John Pitha from Dalton, who wrote a letter to The Edge, and he asked a question that hadn't occurred to me, and that is, with these smart meters, what is the benefit to the public?
Yeah.
We already have our meters read remotely with a radio signal. What's the benefit to the public with these new smart meters? Never mind charging people who don't want them. What's the benefit to those who actually have them installed? And I've read the material on that, and it seemed, I can go in and check my electricity. I'm not that bored. I'm not going to be going in and checking my electricity 6 times a day, or wondering how, gee, the bill went up. Well, we have Christmas lights this month. I mean, I can figure that part. So I don't really care about the supposed benefits that come with the smart meter, and I'm wondering if there's something I'm missing, if there's something that's going to happen for the public with the installation of these things that's going to be beneficial. Does anybody have an answer to that? Please, go ahead.
All right, I can give you a couple of things. For me, one of the biggest things is on a power outage. Right now, if say your house lost power, unless you called Eversource, we wouldn't know about it unless it was part of a larger outage. With the smart metering technology, we're going to know your house doesn't have power, and it's going to reduce the amount of time it takes us on large storms to get everyone's back on. So it is going to help create a more resilient and reliable grid.
I've made my phone call many times, it works.
Yeah, okay. Well, I mean, that's your position, and I don't see it as a big advantage. So I know, I count it as a small advantage, okay, but I'm not sure that it really matters, because I also know people who have called many, many times, and it seems to always be a surprise to on some of those cases. But yeah, I can see why you might think it's a little bit of an advantage, but anyone who does have a cell phone, they're going to let you know almost immediately when the power goes out, so you don't need to be told by your meter. They're going to call anyway. So I don't see that as necessarily a selling point, but if you have any others that actually would help us, and again, I'm not checking my meter reading now. Why would I check it? I know when I use too much electricity and I'm cooking a lot or I'm doing something, so I don't need I would never be checking my meter anyway to see, or going online yet again on Wi-Fi, probably that's going to kill me anyway. So I don't see the advantage of this. I certainly feel that we should be getting some kind of, if you guys are getting this big a break by not sending somebody around, then we ought to see some reduction on our rates. And I have never seen any of these multiple little nickel and dime charges I get every month on my electric go away. They've never gone away. They only add more little nickels and dimes to me, thanks to the DPU and things that just, you read it and it's like, it sounds like a made up nightmare that I'm reading, the names of some of these things that they call them. So anyway, again, I need to be quiet.
No, please.
So
you have the floor.
I know, but I'm giving it back to you. I'm giving it back to you. So do what you got to do.
No applause, please.
No,
don't
I'm not doing it
encourage
for
him.
applause.
Don't encourage him.
That's a good point. Don't encourage me.
I was just going to say, I know the board has a
Yes, we have a
potential
lot to
letter,
do too.
Which I think would be easy to do tonight if you so choose. I'm happy to follow up on the moratorium
I was
question
gonna
and
ask
get more
about that,
information
yeah.
before the next meeting, because I'm not sure that's something, I'm sure you'll want more information, but I think this is a step you can easily take now if you would like to instruct me to get more information on that.
It would be good because we have a town meeting coming up, and that's something that I assume if we do a moratorium, we're not doing it. It would have to be a town meeting type issue, is what I'm assuming.
I can research it.
So that would be wonderful. Thank you very much. Appreciate your help.
Yeah, I was thinking along those same lines. Thanks, Chris. To the letter here, essentially, I mean, I won't read the whole thing, but essentially it's spelling out the Lee Select Board urging the legislature to reduce or eliminate the additional fee for opting out of these smart meter utilities, and citing, a lot of the same issues that were brought before us today. So we'll start there. I don't know about a lot of these other things, but we'll revisit this next meeting. Hopefully we'll have some more information at that point and can make any other we can talk about further steps at that point, I think.
Mr. Chairman, if I could, I think the smart meter seminar that the presenter put on might be a very good thing. We could do it at the high school, get it out, and I think everybody in Southern Berkshire and Northern Berkshire too it ought to be televised and shared, with everybody, just so people know what's going on, because you know, people don't really pay attention that well anymore. Nobody reads the paper on, not at nobody, but I mean, it's getting less and less available that people are, they're getting things off social media that don't know what they're talking about either. So I think the more information we can support to be put out there, pros and cons, you know, I'm sure there's some pros to this as well as cons, we'll see. But I think by starting with some seminars and getting some educational material would be a great start.
Yeah, I agree. So with that, Bob, do you have anything you want to add?
No, just I'm again, it's very confusing because I've had a cell phone on my hip for decades. I have a wireless router in my house.
Mm-hmm.
I have electrical lines on my property. And we all travel up and down streets in Berkshire County and beyond where we're surrounded by electrical lines and cell towers and all of these things. And you start getting into, well, is the cell phone worse than a smart meter? Is there? And I just think that we have to come to a place as a community to have a better understanding of how all of this works in order to decide moving forward. But I do think absolutely this is the way to begin. People who want to opt out on this at this point should be able to do it without being financially impacted.
So, thanks, Bob, and I would entertain a motion at this point to have Chris finalize this letter, and we'll all...
Would we, I know there's people who wish to say something.
Sure,
In addition, but
after we do...
Should we do this first?
Sure.
I'm fine with that.
We can do this first, and then
I think it's my turn. I'll be
Sure.
happy to,
Yeah, I would just recommend you authorize the board to sign.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
then we can
Yes.
put it on letterhead and do it. We won't have to come back.
Exactly, yep.
so I would make a motion that we send this letter off to the Massachusetts legislators with the request that we're making, and have it on letterhead, and have you want the chair to sign or everybody?
Everyone.
I think, yeah.
You're
have us all
signing
sign.
it too.
I mouthed off, I'll put my name on it. I'm okay with that. I'm willing to sign it. So I would suggest that as a start to all this.
I have a motion, is there a second?
I will second that.
And any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, before we move on, I'll just give everybody else a chance to come up and say if they have any further comment you want to make about the smart meter, specifically the smart meter Eversource issue.
Before I just read my comment, I just wanted to ask you guys a question. So is it a possibility that we, after you read all the stuff, I sent more stuff today, that you may even think of having a town opt out, which is definitely has been done?
Possible. It's not.
And that way, it's everybody's out and nobody has to worry about it.
I don't know if it's impossible to do that at this point. So yeah, it's a possibility.
It's definitely a possibility. Okay, I just wanted to ask that. Okay, I'm just going to read it. Most of the stuff we went over, people touched on it already, but I wrote it. I just want to reiterate whatever I say. The town of Lee cannot take on another hit. We already have the PCB dump coming, and we now have a chance to stop another corporation from poisoning us and charging us extra to do so. I'm going to quote my girlfriend who has a second home up here, but she lives in Westchester, and she received her National Grid smart meter. And she said her bill is now 2 to 3 times what it has been for the past 25 years. So for 25 years, her bill has been the same. The smart meter's in, it's raised 2 to 3 times more. That's going to kill people. And nothing goes back. Once they raise the prices, it doesn't go back, ever. There are handouts on the table with many more websites and lots of information there. So if you look at those documentaries and websites, you'll be totally educated on the extreme dangers of the smart meters. And coincidentally, when I was looking at one of them today, our great friend David Carpenter presents and gives expert testimony on smart meters. So we all trust David Carpenter, don't we? So look at his. He has plenty of it. He's on the video speaking. So I'm asking the town of Lee to call for a moratorium on having Eversource put these meters until we really know what's going on. And I'm also calling for a forum in the high school or something where we can invite other towns and everybody else, and we can have the experts and the doctors and the scientists all come around. So the last thing I have to say is what Courtney said, we shouldn't have to pay an extortion fee for our homes to be a healthy sanctuary. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
So I think Gail had her hand up too.
Yeah, I think there's one or two
And
others.
maybe somebody else, yes.
I just had a quick question, and it was something that I didn't hear. Okay, so I just wanted to know what the bill number was that people might be able to write to the legislature. What is the bill number?
I thought I heard the House was 3351, but it came too fast for me to get the Senate. Senate came first and I wasn't ready to write, so perhaps Cece could tell us those bill numbers. But it's easy if you just go on the mass.gov page, you can find it, yeah. But we'll find out now.
It was 3351 on the House.
Thank you. And what was the Senate?
The Senate was 2306.
Thank you. Okay. Now we got
There's a
it.
letter on the website that it's already pre-made,
Okay.
sign and send it in.
Cool. Thank you.
I think looks like we have another comment, and then
Hi there, my name is Wendy Chimera. I live in Lenox, but I have family and friends in Lee. This affects not only Lee, but all of Berkshire County and the world. I also lived in California for 20 years, where these smart meters were rolled out, and the fires were unbelievable from them. It was definitely a fire hazard. I really don't want to go through that again. But I just really quick would like to point out 4 issues, even though there's numerous issues with smart meters, but I just would like to do the 4 issues. One is increase of rates. Yes, the rates go up, not down, due to time of use and demand charge. Instead of due to time of use and demand charges, instead of due of the time of the use of demand charges, they count, just counting the volume. Today, they just count the volume of the kilowatt hours, and the utility will also factor in your maximum hours, and utilities also factor in your maximum hours in a certain period of time, and this amount is added to your regular consumption in order to incentivize you to use less power. The smart meter determines what appliances are drawing electricity and when, and this info is used against you. Also note they can turn off power to your home remotely. Is this them controlling you, or are you being in control? Analog meters only count the kilowatts usage volume only. Now number 2, the smart meters are surveillance devices. They are a tool for total surveillance. The info they gather is detailed in a clear violation of our 4th Amendment, a right to privacy. The court order typically is required to gather when you were home what you were doing. Yet by placing one of these devices on your home, you consent to give your personal activities to a corporation and you agree to the data collection. This information is used to create a detailed behavioral scorecard and profile. The information can and will be used against you. Analog meters do not supply this information. Do corporate interests need this info to supply electricity? Number three, smart meters pulse radiation continually. This pulse dirty electricity can hop on house wires and piles, turning your house into an unsafe environment with high levels of radio frequency radiation. Smart meters are the leading cause of sudden onset microwave sickness. And number 2, which is very concerning, if not all of it's concerning, but number 4 is smart meters are a fire hazard. They have flammable components and not surge suppression. The old analog meters use a spark gap technology that grounds out any surges from the utility side. The new ones do not. These utility I always screw this up. The utility varistors which cannot contain any extended over voltage. Thus, they are an open channel that permits surge from utility side to enter into your home. Your panel only protects from inside your home to your panel. Why install electric meter with flammable components that will need to be replaced in 5 years when the electrical meter, which is grounded and not a fire hazard, can last forever? So I believe these four items are very much a concern for me. I lived in California where the smart meters did catch fire on the house, and we've worked very hard for our home. My father has, and my father and parents are 84 years old. Their bedroom is very small, and the bed is on the side of the wall where his regular meter is now. And he has in the past had cancer and radiation, and he's cancer-free. I'd like to keep it that way. And he also has a tumor that is slow growing and not cancer, but it's ironically on the same side where the meter is. So for all of our health, the health concerns, the fire hazards, huge questions that everyone should be aware of and have the right to not subject ourselves to this to be put on our personal property. As far as the cost, I think they should pay us for what they're going to put on our house. Okay, so I just wanted to bring up those 4 points, and thank you very much for considering these things, and I hope we can continue more with Cece and knowing, getting everyone educated on these things. It's very important. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Well, we certainly have a ton of information to go through on this, so unless there's something further at this point, I think we should just move on in our agenda, of which being our next order of business are a couple inspection fee waiver requests, one from Baptist Hills Baptist Church and the First Congregational Church. Both churches are seeking a fee waiver for their annual inspections. Is there a motion?
Mr. Chair, should we do both at once, or?
Sure.
Mr. Chair, I move that we waive the fees for certificates of inspection for the First Congregational Church and the Baptist Hills Baptist Church.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. If there's no further discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, next we have a letter that we're considering sending to Mass DOT, a permission letter to install a RRFB installation. That's blinking, like a crosswalk sign, right?
Yeah, this would be for the crosswalk near the Sunoco station, right? I guess kind of where Housatonic Street becomes West Park Street.
Yeah.
So there have been some safety concerns at that crosswalk because of the sharp turn there. You come around the turn and the crosswalk is right there. And because of those concerns, we've discussed this with MassDOT, and they have agreed to install one of the lights, so you'll push a button and it'll flash, letting you know someone's in the crosswalk.
Okay.
Because that part of that unit goes on the town right-of-way, it's basically that little planting strip in front of Sunoco.
Yeah.
They needed the town's permission to do that. It's not costing the town anything, MassDOT is doing it. And also, they may need to do some pruning. They don't think they'll need to remove either tree, but if they do, they would come back. But they may need to do some trimming just to fit that in. But they said if any removal happens to be necessary, they as it mentions in here, there'll be a prior discussion. They think they may just need some pruning to do. So, and those are town-owned. So.
Right. Any further discussion before I ask for a motion?
I'm good.
Anyone like to make a motion?
I would make a motion that we sign off on this letter.
Do I have a second?
We'll second that.
Motion and a second. If there's nothing further on that, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Maybe we should have done it years ago, because that, I tell you, even coming this way,
Yeah.
it's,
Yeah.
you know, and that's, I can't believe how many people use that crosswalk.
Well, somebody got hit there, right?
Yeah, well,
High
there's
Street.
issues, and, you know, it's heavily populated
Yeah.
right nearby, and, so,
Well, somebody got hit
It's
at
a
that
it's a
specific
discussion we've had for a while, and, you know, so we're happy to work with MassDOT to get that done. That is, of course, state highway, so.
yeah.
Okay, next order of business, we have a couple letters to consider to sign. These would be in support of the West Center Canal Street housing project. One letter is to the Undersecretary advocating for this project to be funded, and then the other letter would be to the Board of Public Works in Lee, advocating for a reduction in the water hookup fee by 50% for this project. Any comments? Have either of you had a chance to review these? Do you have any issues? Maybe it looks like there's somebody from the CDC South Berkshire here. Diana.
Hey,
if you'd like,
saw you last time.
yeah, please feel free to speak to either of these if you'd like to at this time.
Yeah, thank you. I think that in terms of the general letter of support, it's just helpful for us to have, just general support from the town. We've already requested a letter we got a letter of support from the Representative Dee Davis, from Chris Britton, and we're just working on getting as many letters of support for the project as we can, local letters of support. In terms of the, the water and sewer hookup fees, I think we had maybe mentioned this last meeting, but of course we requested the 50% building fee reduction from you all. We're trying to cobble together like as much of a kind of annual commitment as possible for this project from the town, and it's kind of our creative, back of the envelope way of getting to kind of a larger chunk of change that we've asked for money from the CPC, the Community Preservation Commission, where I think we might have mentioned that project, in Lennox, Lennox has kind of a larger pot of fund at this point from their CPC and their Affordable Housing Trust, so they're able to give local commitments in those towns of, $250,000, $500,000 for one affordable housing project. And so by way of these kind of 50% reduction, fee reductions, we're putting together like a real nice sizable chunk of local funds, basically that is giving back to the project. So that's what we're
Support and leverage.
with your support, we're hoping that our presentation to the Board of Public Works on Monday, will be more, they might meet with success with your support. So.
And is it my understanding that you've already been in talks with the Board of Public Works? Have you guys already met with them at all?
We haven't met with them. We've had some emails back and forth with them about
I was mistaken then.
I think Sam did the calculations for them for the request.
Good. Yeah.
But it hasn't gone before the board yet. So they'll be considering it on Monday.
Okay. Thank you, Diana. Bob, Gordon, how would you like to proceed?
Well, I will, I have no problem going forward with the, and interacting with the Board of Public Works request, but because I am a post-retiree, and actually I am back working for the Commonwealth, I'm not sure I can sign off on something to another executive secretariat. So I'm going to recuse myself from discussions or signing on the one to the state agency, but I'll be happy to participate in. So if you wouldn't mind doing them separately, Mr. Chairman,
let's do
so
that.
that I can not get myself in any kind of ethics or issue with the Commonwealth, that would be appreciated.
Absolutely. So let's consider, if you don't, unless you have something you want to add, Bob, at this time, let's consider the letter to the Board of Public Works at this time. So I would entertain a motion to sign and send it to the Board of Public Works.
Mr. Chair, I move that the board sign the letter to the Board of Public Works in regard to the CDC project up at Eagle Mill.
I can second that.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion on the Board of Public Works letter? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, next, we will consider the letter to the Undersecretary, Undersecretary for general support of this project. Do I have a motion?
Mr. Chair, I move that we sign off on the letter to Catherine Racer of the Executive Office of Home and Livable Communities in support of the CDC project in Lee.
I have a motion, and I will second that. And I'll call for any further discussion at this point.
With Gordon's abstention, do you want to make it just the chair signing, or do you want to leave it with two of the three?
Make a difference?
No, just so we
Okay.
know.
I'll modify it to have just the chair sign off on that particular letter.
And I'll second that motion. So if there's no further discussion on this general letter of support, hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Abstain.
One abstention. All right.
Thank you. Thank you, John.
Thank you.
so much. Really appreciate it.
Yeah. All right, moving on, our next order of business is to sign articles of incorporation for the Town of Lee Affordable Housing Trust. This is something that the Housing Trust just signed these documents at our last meeting. And this board would need to also sign to finalize the document, I believe. Is that anything else you want to add, Chris?
No, it's just that the trust has met several times. This is kind of the next step in the process, so we can begin to accept money. We have to,
we got to have somewhere to put it.
Establish the trust. So, just this standard procedure.
Yeah. So with that, I'd entertain a motion.
I have a question.
Sure, go
Again,
ahead. Yeah.
Not a big deal.
Yeah.
I don't believe it's a big deal. However, on the very first page, down under Article 4, meetings of the trust. Last sentence, a quorum at any meeting shall be the majority of the trustees qualified and present in person. Does that mean that they can't do Zoom meetings and all that kind of stuff? I'm just, I'm gonna vote for this, but maybe it has to get modified in the future, but for right now, to get this going, we gotta get this going.
Yeah, I don't think that, so there hasn't been a final action. I mean, we're still going under an executive order.
I know.
So these are kind of boilerplate documents.
Sure.
I think without the actual, I don't know why the legislation isn't passed
I don't know why either.
I mean,
Okay.
yeah, I mean,
I just, in
a
the
valid
future, we
question.
may need
Yeah.
to just question it,
Yeah,
but,
it's a-
because,
good
I
point.
mean, it's so much easier if you're not feeling well in your home and you still want to participate and vote. I just feel, but again, maybe under the executive order, that's okay for now, like you said, when is it, like March 2017 or something, or 27? Or, I know, okay, well, it was just a question, I was
No, it's a good
surprised to
point.
read it
Yeah.
that way, but I'm fine with it, and I highly support this.
Yeah. No, good question. And unless there's anything further, I'd entertain a motion for the board to sign.
I think that's me, and I will be happy to make the motion to have the board sign off on the Articles of Incorporation for the Affordable Housing Trust.
Thank you.
And I will second it.
And a motion and a second. Unless there's any further discussion, I will call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, next order of business, 4G, request. So this is a request for an extension of hours from Starving Artists. We were expecting this. This is to do with their, with the Lee Pride entertainment that's going to happen at Starving Artists. So they are requesting June 13th which is a Saturday, extending their hours from 10 to 3 p.m. If I've got all that. Oh, extend to, that's their regular hours.
Yeah.
They're going to extend to 11 p.m.
Right, yeah.
On that date and that date only.
Josh, it's you if you have questions.
Yeah, I think we talked about it
Yeah.
at our last meeting, and
Yeah.
we're fine with it, and just, I think a technical,
This is just to
Technically, we
accommodate
have to
the,
do this.
the entertainment licenses and the alcohol licenses that we approved, I believe. So,
so is there anything we have to sign that you have to, I don't
I
see
think-
anything.
right.
We can just approve it and just send them a notice, that's
Yeah.
cool? Okay. Sure.
So,
Just trying to
yeah.
make sure we're covering the base.
so, yeah, with that, I would entertain a motion to approve the hour extensions, the temporary extension of alcohol service hours for Starving Artist Cafe and
Chair, I move that we approve the application to extend the hours for Starving Artist Cafe on Saturday, June 13th until 11 p.m.
I'll second that.
Very good. Motion and a second. If there's nothing further, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, next order of business, we have a few appointments to consider. Why don't we-
Mr. Chair, there was a last-minute change on this.
Okay.
From Lee Bank. Instead of Laura Lobauer, it would be Michelle Bombardier,
Okay. Michelle
just this morning.
Bombardier?
Yeah.
Okay, so well, we'll consider that one first, I suppose. So, this is for our 250th anniversary committee. The Lee Bank appointee, not going to be Laura, but instead Michelle
Bombardier.
Bombardier.
I'd make a motion to appoint Michelle Bombardier as the representative for Lead Bank on our 250th anniversary committee.
I'll second that.
Motion and a second. If there's no further discussion, hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Next, we have a PCB advisory committee position, associate member to appoint, Catherine McCormick, who is our assistant treasurer, assistant clerk, assistant collector, right?
Yeah, it was associate membership. She's not a resident of Lee. She works here but has a background in chemistry, specifically with PCBs, and has offered to help the committee out if the board so chooses. So
I would entertain a motion to appoint Catherine McCormick.
So moved, and just a comment that she was actually at our last PCB committee meeting and was quite helpful in her comments, and she's very knowledgeable. And it's nice to have, an experienced
Yeah.
person on the committee who actually understands the science.
I'll second it. Second the motion.
Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, our last appointment to consider, this is a group. Chris, do you want to speak to this at all? This is an ad hoc Stockbridge Road committee, which is really, there's a lot of different little things going on over there, and we were sort of talking about putting together a small little group to get some of those things kind of...
the naming
Focus.
contest
Yeah.
had some people inquire, and so I know we had, right now, before we had any other organization, any other committees involved, Brooke and I had been doing some of the work on it, and Sean as well, and then that kind of carried over into Sean's membership into Parks and Recreation as well. And then we had some residents offer their help after the information came out about the naming contest. So certainly, if there's other, that I'm sure the board would like to consider, would consider any additional ones, but that to kind of get it started, and it's kind of being a new thing, the idea would be to get that kind of as an ad hoc group for that, bring it back to Parks and Rec as a new committee and then, involved in it as well, just to kind of help out and focus just on that area.
Yeah. Yeah, so when are we expecting, have we gotten any naming?
That'll be on the next agenda.
That'll be on, that's what, but we've gotten,
He's
that's what,
smiling.
that's what, you know.
Yeah, many.
We've gotten a lot of submittals.
We do, that's great,
That's
I
good,
love it.
yeah.
It's almost up to 30.
Yeah, about
Whoa,
30
I love
together.
it.
Cool, yeah,
The
great.
plan is,
Very
yeah.
good.
Cool.
I think it ends this week, if I'm not mistaken, was the final date was Friday, which will give you guys some time to look them over, rank your choices, and then come back on
Wow.
the 17th for public.
Should we be prepared to be amused?
We'll see.
A lot of them are pretty similar.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Okay.
Oh, interesting,
Interesting.
interesting. No spoilers.
No.
Okay, so with that, I would entertain a motion to appoint this ad hoc committee.
Mr. Chairman,
Did I read who was the?
I was just about to read them because you hadn't, but
I
why don't
hadn't.
you go ahead and read them and
So, Sean Renier, that's me, Chris Britton, Brooke Healy, our planner, Thomas Wickham, or Thomas Consolati and Jamie Wickham are the 5 members of the ad hoc.
You have a hand, Sean.
Yeah, go ahead, Hayden.
Well, hi there, this is Hayden. Well, for those of you who don't know me, I'm chair of the Parks and Rec Committee, and I noticed this item on the agenda and couldn't help but tune in as I watch TV here this evening. I guess I just want to bring up kind of how this committee would interact with Parks and Rec, and it's great that the area needs a lot of attention, and a separate committee I think could be a good idea moving through Parks and Rec. But I guess as Parks and Rec manages and oversees all properties in league, kind of the prioritization and where town resources in terms of grant funding and budget extras, how does this committee interact and how does Parks and Rec decide or prioritize? And just wanted to bring that up as we learn about all the different needs everywhere. The town farm, that property needs a lot of money. I think with all the invasives, 3 miles of invasives.
Yeah.
All those posts and fences, and I tried to walk through there myself, and it was very challenging to move through the fields. So that's something to consider. And just in the summertime, I can't imagine what that's like with ticks and invasives all in bloom like that. It just needs a lot of work and a lot of money, and there's lots of other town parcels and properties that are, could also use attention. And I, would hate to see Town Farm take all of our resources and from the town, and I think that's where Parks and Rec gets the most kind of value is town resources helping rather than like just a core group of volunteers trying to get stuff done. So just want to say that as we look forward to working together and accomplishing our goals.
Yeah, I think just to answer your question, there'd be and this being an ad hoc committee just for that specific property, I think there's a lot that this committee and the Parks and Rec committee can work on together to kind of spearhead. And I'd say that this group would probably want some guidance from the Parks and Rec group as far as what they would see on that property, because you're right, that's the intention is for the Parks and Rec committee to, in the long run, manage parks in the town, and that being the biggest one.
Well, I was just going to say, Sean, part of this too is a lot of stuff, a lot of funding, a lot of applications, a lot of planning was done that predates the Parks and Rec committee. So the idea is to eventually this would be completely just there, but we're kind of in a weird transition right now. Again, some of this started, well, you could go back as far as the 90s when we purchased it, but the property as it stands right now, goes back 3 or 4 years ago to studies that were done with grant funding from the state. CPA money that purchased the parcel to connect to Longcomb Park. So there's been a longer plan that we need to carry out, and I absolutely don't think there's any reason it should subtract from anything else going on, just enhance it. That's definitely not the idea, to take any, the funds that we have used for this have been grants specifically for that. So, but yeah, no, definitely something to work together on. And again, it's just a weird situation of things that were started that predated any the group. So I think it will be helpful and useful to let Parks and Rec kind of get their feet wet and getting all of these other properties in the shape they need to be in. But I agree with Hayden. There's a lot of things that we can continue to make improvements on while this property kind of gets established. So.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. All right. Do you guys have an issue or anything?
No.
Any questions?
No, I'm more than pleased, Mr.
Would anyone
Chairman, to
like to
make a motion.
Sure.
To create this 300 Stockbridge Road Committee, ad hoc committee, and have the members on it be at this point in time be as you've read.
I will second that.
And if there's nothing further, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, anything not anticipated? I don't have anything at the moment.
No.
No? Gordon?
No, thank you.
Chris, I'll hand it over to you.
Great. Yeah, 2 quick things. One, happy to share that our wellness committee and our safety committee in town both received awards last 2 weeks ago for MIA, which is the Massachusetts Interlocal Insurance Association, received Best Wellness Committee and Safety Committee, which is done throughout the state. Wow. So I want to thank those members and for a great job.
First time a single town got 2 awards.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Good job.
Great news there, and also some other good news. If you haven't noticed, Monday there was a sort of a groundbreaking, if you will, on the public safety building. Our contractors are now on site. They've started to do some additional fencing work, removal of some trees, and also working to remove all the snow so that they can begin taking out the concrete next. Yeah. So that will be happening within the next couple of days. Right. But we do have a site presence now with J&J and their subcontractor Reifenberg doing the site work. So
good. Great. Excellent.
Thank you very much. All right. Well, if there's nothing else, then I'll let everyone know our next regular meeting is February 17th, and I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.